So I'm not really a big fan of predictability. And usually in my faces, I leave teals. I like to use, for when I'm painting white people, I like to leave teals and like some forms of blue. I don't want to go too blue though, because then people look dead. And we don't really want pictures of dead people hanging in our homes. So I tend to use teals. It's not too smurfy. It's very hot. It's, you know, it's hot right now, but it's a really nice color. I hadn't worked with it much before last year, but now I work with it a lot. Now I did use teal on the faces of these children. Again, I don't like predictability, so I love using teal. It represents, well, you can get the representation of a face, but without being obvious. Unfortunately, like I tried to keep the teal with these children, but it just wasn't coming across correctly. It made them look flat and stale, so I had to use white person's flesh tone. Again, not something I like to do, but I found that when I'm painting children, I really need to use their more of an accepted skin tone. Also, when I'm painting women, I don't have to leave them totally skin toned, whether that's brown or you know, a tan or you know, an orange. You know, the different shades of skin tone down to white people's skin tone, pinkish. I can leave on women's faces shades of teal, shades of blue, and then put in shades of predictable flesh tone. But unfortunately, with kids, you can't do that. So today I really started working on his face. I've had this face posted on Facebook, and I've been looking at it and trying to figure it out, and it just hasn't been coming out correctly. I've been really unhappy with it. So we're going a little bit more obvious. There we go. Now we can see him eating the apple. We're just about done. I'm just about done on this one with the figures. I am going to start working in the grasses. I've got to cut in with real light whites and yellows and other colors. And I've also got to start working in light, that's not right either, but I've got to start working in more whites in here to start showing the sunshine of the day. In the reference photo, there is quite a bit of sunshine. These kids happen to be out on a sunny sidewalk. They are in a crowd of children though. These two, they're actually in a crowd. There's a boy standing here, there's another boy up here, there's another boy down here, there's a hand over here. But I just wanted to pick these two out of the reference photo and use them. See here I'm putting in the grasses. Been working on this for weeks, and I can't stand working on one painting, one or two or three or four paintings for weeks, but that's been this month, unfortunately. I need to get more canvas, I need to get things stretched, because I have so many things that I want to do. I have so many paintings waiting to go. But anyway, for today, I'm trying to bring him down into a squint because he's biting on the apple. So I'm bringing him down. There's really, oh, and the other thing I've done is, this was an obvious camel kind of pinky. It was a weird brown, his jacket in here. So what I've been doing for the past few minutes is giving him more of a yellow, more like the straw in the background. Now, I can't say it's a mistake. It feels correct. It feels correct to me. However, I cannot leave this much yellow in the painting. It's just yellow. And not a lot of people like having that much yellow in their home. I couldn't stomach it for long. I'm sure there are people out there that would, but I need more color in there. And I don't need more color in there just to placate an audience. I need more color in there because my heart needs more color in there than oranges and yellows. I'm going to get another painting though, because it's something I wanted to talk about while we're talking about, you know, obvious measures, which is, you know, always something I try and avoid. This painting, and let me check and see if it's in the camera view. Yeah, I'm going to move the camera a little bit. There we go. Un simple soldat was a painting I did on masonite. Masonite is very difficult to frame. It's not very difficult, it's just a pain. And some people would like canvas. It's certainly easier to ship. It's lighter. You know, it's more grown up. So I've been redoing this. Redoing the painting Un simple soldat. Now, I'm getting a brush while I'm talking. Because we're talking about, and this is going to be a subject, sorry, dumping out some Neo. This is going to be an ongoing subject, is not doing the obvious. While we're talking about not doing the obvious, I like to mix in a lot of materials when I'm doing a painting. And on the original Un simple soldat, it was flat like this. He's nowhere near done. His look is nowhere near done. And unfortunately, I let him dry too quickly before I went into it. But when I was doing the first Un simple soldat, it just looked too straightforward. I prefer complex. I prefer interesting. I'm not like, oh yes, the perfect figure. Oh yes, he looks sad. That's boring to me. As I've said in other videos, it's boring. Why go down the same exact street that you've gone down 1,000 times? Why go down the same exact street that everyone else has gone down? Try and find, without pushing, try and find that measure that will feel right to you, be genuine, but also be different for the viewer. You don't want to be like, oh yes, I am, ooh, look at me. Just, it's fine. I don't know how else to put it, but it's finding that very genuine thing. I don't know how to put it. But anyway, I had Un simple soldat. This was, I was living in New Bedford in an apartment building, and I had it leaning up against a wall. And I was looking at it for several days, and it was very warm, so the paint stayed wet for a long time. It was very humid out. But so I had it sitting near my kitchen, and one morning I would just get up and start painting, which I love. I love to do. If I could live in my studio, I would. So one morning, about 6 in the morning, I got up. Where's my coffee, by the way? And I was drinking my coffee, and I looked over, and through the blinds, there was sunlight coming through. And the sunlight added all these little ovals down the painting, and I'm looking at him, he's over there. So it went down and around, and I'm looking at it, and it clicked. And I picked up an oil crayon and walked over, white oil crayon, and dug into the white paint with my white oil crayon. The circles, the circles, the circles. And actually, I'll go get it so I can show you. It's right over here. So, in here, there's circles, 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 circle. They go all the way down, and I actually went and I took an oil crayon in red, but they happened to mix in. So I was using, because the paint was still wet, it mixed in with the oil crayon. So we've got white and red oil crayons, circle, 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 circle. And it's actually all through down here, but it's not like, oh yes, I'm going to follow the exact pattern of the, you know, the sunshine and, ooh, look at it, I'm genius. It was just, it felt right. And then I went back and I cut in some more. So I'm not following the most obvious pattern. And so this is what I'm going to be doing to this guy. I've almost duplicated the feeling, but not quite. So what I need to do is meditate on it, sink into the feeling that I had when I was doing the first simple soldat. And while the paint is wet, go in with the circles. And I hate to copy what I've done before, but this is one of my most popular paintings, and I'm not willing to give it up. I'm not willing to sell it. I'm not willing to give it up. I love it. There's just something about it that I understand. I mean, I feel. It's not that I understand. I understand all my feelings, but I feel it. And I'm really not willing to let someone have it. It's not anyone else's painting. It's not, anyway, bleh. The painting is based, both paintings are based on a reference photo of a 19-year-old Russian soldier during World War I. And in Russian on the side, if I've got the translation correct, it says, in wartime I cannot feel the heartbeat of my mother. So our little Russian soldier is looking off into the darkness of war. But he holds the memories of his mother's home. This is the wallpaper. These are the plants in their parlor. Remember, it's World War I. So this is the plants in their parlor or in their home, in their Russian home. This is either tile, I don't know if you can see it, but down here is either tile or a bed. I'm going to make it more vague, but it's either a quilt or it's tiling in their home. And this ring is the tie between mother and son, the circle between mother and son, the circle in their hearts. Because that connection is never broken. But he cannot hear the heartbeat of his mother. I wanted his jacket to be oversized, the buttons to be oversized, because he's a 19-year-old boy. He's a 19-year-old boy who's been taken out of his home to kill. And he probably doesn't even understand why. But really, Un Simple Soldat isn't just about warfare, boys going into war. What I was thinking about when I was painting it was my son. He's in his 20s now, but all boys go through this. They go into war when they're in their teens. And it doesn't matter that it was, the World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, it doesn't matter which war. There's always there's always a war in boys' hearts when they start going into adolescence, where they're fighting to find their place in the world, and they're fighting to be their own man, and they don't even know who that is. But they are fighting with everything they have to become their own man, and sometimes they hurt their mothers in the process. Oh, hard. They can hurt their parents, their mummies really pretty badly. But that's what that's about. It's not necessarily about World War I, this 19-year-old soldier. All young men, when they're going out of their homes or they're starting to discover that they are their own person, they become soldiers in their own little war against the whole world. We're going to take on everyone. So that's what the painting is about. The reference material is from World War I, but really the subject matter spans time. So today, I'm going to wet the face, I'm going to wet the coat, reapply paint, make it thicker, and then start cutting in with oil crayon. So I'm mixing materials. Hopefully I'm making an interesting pattern, and I'm making it less predictable than just a straightforward painting of a boy soldier. I'm sure if I did figures better, if I painted like Sargent or Norman Rockwell or someone of that quality, I wouldn't feel the need to, but I don't. This is how I paint. I try to reflect the emotions and the feelings we all have without being obvious and without telling a direct story. Like Norman Rockwell, who I'm not putting down at all. He was brilliant. So there we are. That's my in studio today. Joe.